What's up, guys? Pittsburgh Weiss back again with yet another deck tech. We're going to round out Jojo's today. This will be our last Jojo's deck tech with the quote-unquote meta Japanese version bar standby deck tech. Going to be mostly villains cards. I have Andy here with me today.
Guys.
And we're just going to run right through it. A lot of these cards we've talked about before, so we're not going to harp on them too long. We've discussed them in our Wind Pants deck as well as the Bar Gate deck that Ollie and I did last week, so we're just going to run right through it. So let's get right into it. We're running the same sort of beater lineup here. We got the coin flip on the left, and then the cornerstone of any villain's deck, we got the Pesci. This card puts your prosciuttos in memory so that your level 1 combos are even bigger, and also just has on death mill. Of course, it also has the errata. This card is when it dies, not when it is played. But it does give you that mill. We're a grave deck, so we got to fill our grave. But yeah, just normal plussing 0 and the coin flip, and then the standard villain card. Nothing too crazy.
Nothing too crazy. I like the 4-3 split.
Yeah, the
coin flip and the Pesci. Those numbers seem right to me.
Yeah, the Pesci isn't good enough to really run 4 of. Gets, even if it's a 0, a little cloggy. Moving into our back row, so this is a little different here. So we got the Giorno Brainstorm, it's just a self-rest search brainstorm, and you can repeated pay 1, nuke a cost 0 character on your opponent's center stage. Fringe use, but could be a repeated stock out. We've discussed that before. And this one's a little different. So we got this 10 hours ago, Pericolo. So this guy, every turn, you can pay 1, rest this card, look at 2 cards from the top of your deck, choose a level 1 or higher card only from among them, reveal it to your opponent, add it to your hand, and put the rest in the waiting room. That's kind of high rolly. It's not that consistent, but the best part for a standby deck is the next effect. So this is the Re-Zero filter effect. When this card is on the field, you can act to sack this card and pitch a card to salvage a card from your waiting room. So this sets up stuff for your standbys, lets you filter cards out of your hand, grab cards that you need to play from your hand. Just a really versatile effect for a card that can just sit in the back row, unlike the Re-Zero one, which is a bomb. So that's more of a front row card. This one is purely a back row card. Also helps fix us for red.
Mm-hmm. And the nice thing, like having the Brainstormer and this too, is you can choose which one of these effects you want to use to plus with. If you think you're going to hit a climax, you go for the Brainstorm. If you think you're going to have a better chance just to hit something in your top 2 cards, like hit a
level 1 character, level 1 or higher card,
go with the Pericolo.
But yeah, just a pretty cool back row lineup. Ollie gave me this idea. I was looking through a lot of bar standby lists, and Ollie was running this. I thought it was really cool, and I think the art is just very good. So threw that on.
Yeah, having not seen this show, I don't know what the hell is going on with this card.
You're gonna have to watch it. No spoilers. All right. Rounding out our level zeros here, we have the we talked about these before. The Trish Ricky. It's 3K if you have 2 more other golden win. We have 1 of the Drop Searcher just to give us a little bit of deck access. And outside of our Brainstorm, as well as pitch cards from our hand. And then this one's unique to the standby build. We are running the Chocolata and the Seca standby. So this one is just your normal pay 1, bounce this, stand a standby golden win character. And then it also has on play, look at top 2, and
just top 1.
Yeah, you top 1. You look at the top and leave it there, put it in the waiting room. So just normal surveil. So it helps you get into more standbys. You don't do the stand thing very often in this deck, but if you have to, you have the option. More there just for the surveil and the red fix.
Yeah, you just incidentally, you have the standby anyway, and this card is incidentally good, so why not?
Yeah, just throw it in there. It's got a
both
good
cards are good
effect.
enough to be in the deck to begin with, so
surveil is good enough to run in any standby deck.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to our level 1s, we talked about this in our last deck tech. The prosciutto goes to memory when it becomes reversed, as long as you have 2 or less cards in your memory, and then it gets an additional 2,000 power for each copy of itself in memory. So
dude straight up looks like Saitama with hair. I guess the hair throws it off, but he has like the same angry expression.
And then we just have a normal 2K backup. We're a standby deck. We want to protect our stuff, so 2K backups have a place here, as in any standby deck. Moving into our level 1 combo, I talked about this one. This is the bar combo, the Grand Teachings Pesci. Gains 1500 power for every prosciutto that you have in your memory. Can't side attack. And then when you get a reverse, you get to choose the level 3 that combos with this exact same climax, add it to your hand, and also stock the top card of your deck. So stock chart, potential stock charge, and a plus on reverse, and it can get big. Notable for versus other standby decks is this is basically our level 1 wall here. We're walling up with this. It's a costless wall, so you don't have to feel bad about playing these cards from hand, which is a big reason why we're playing the Trish Ricky still, albeit at a lower count, just because it's costless. We don't feel bad about having to play them from our hand if we don't rip into any standbys early. So pretty unique that we're walling with costless cards, but we've talked about this combo a good bit, so we can just move on to level 2s, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, level 2s, we talked about the backup a lot. Really aggressively costed anti-change counter. Sort of similar to the ReZero Amelia cost, however, it does go to waiting room, and they get to summon a level 0 character, so they don't... If they attack with their early play first, they're going to get an extra stock, but you do remove that attack or remove their early play. Sort of de-incentivizes Level 5 Sunshine from saving with Conan because they won't get the next attack, although they'll probably do it anyway based on their game plan. But, you know, then it's just even better for you. It was like ReZero without, you know, getting rid of the card. But really aggressively costed anti-change. The other one we have here, since we're playing Standby, so this is... It has a climax combo, but that doesn't matter. This is just Alpaca. So Alpaca is when a profile where when this card is in your back row, you rest it, choose a Golden Wind character in your waiting room, throw it into your stock. If you stand by this card at level 1, every turn it is on the board. It's just free stock. Since Jojo's is a little bit more hampered than other sets, this is I guess a design decision when I was building just and looking at a lot of lists. Just I thought that if you can high roll this out on the board at 1, you can generate a lot of advantage over the course of the game, and it's just free stock. Everyone loves free stock.
Yeah, you don't run the climax that goes with it.
No, not at all. It's just an Alpaca, which is unfortunate. I wish that it had a more relevant first effect, but it is just Alpaca.
Yeah, if you can sack into it at level 1, that seems like a very good card to just start abusing in your back row. And the longer the game goes on, the better it is for you.
And like you're gonna maybe sack off that Paracolo anyway, so you might have the open slot to just throw this back there. Seemed like a pretty easy include based on how our back row goes.
Yeah, cool card.
All right, so moving into our other standby card here. So this card has 2 standby combos of the same climax. So this has a little bit of synergy with the level 0. So this is He Who Sinks Into the Ground. Seko. So if you have 2 or more other Golden Wind characters, it gets 2,000 power. So it's a 9/5. Doesn't have hand on core or anything, which is a little bit unfortunate. It is a 2-soul beater. However, when it attacks, if you have the standby in your climax area, so you could stand by this out, pay 1, stand it, then attack and get both effects on the same turn. You choose 3 characters in your waiting room, add them to your hand, and then choose 3 cards in your hand, put them into your waiting room. Just sort of a super filter effect. Will set you for level 3 because you want to play your level 3 combos from your hand if you can, because they neg your opponent's field for every one you play in terms of power. So you can just get into your level 3 cards for your end game and just sort of go from there. Because the only real level 3 you want to stand by are your King Crimsons and your Risottos. You don't really want to stand by your end game climax combo. Unlike other standby decks that are running like X standby, maybe you want to standby out your combo so you save stock on it. But here we want to play it from our hands. So this just helps us filter and set up for the end game. Can ditch out climaxes. A lot of utility on just a 2/2 standby target.
Important to keep in mind also that even though it's not an up to 3 characters, you have to choose 3, but it might as well be an up to because you just choose 3 characters that you can just discard the same characters you take. If you only want to switch 1 card, you just take 3 cards and then discard 2 of the same ones. Mm-hmm. But if you are over a refresh and don't have a graveyard, this would be kind of bad though, because you would if you did choose to resolve the effect, you might not have 3 characters to salvage, but you'd still have to discard 3 cards.
Well, it's an if you do. I'm not exactly sure how this works. So you may choose. So I think if you choose 0...
Let's say you just went over a refresh and you have, let's say, 1 character in your graveyard, right?
Yeah, but it's a may choose.
You don't have to. You can either choose to ignore the effect, or you can choose to add the 1 character. To your hand.
Yeah, if you choose to add 1...
case you have to discard 3.
You have to discard 3. I'm not exactly sure how that rolling works. It might not even let you do it. Yeah, you may choose 3. I'm unsure if you can fail to find that, because those usually say up to. We'll have to see.
It's
Let us know in the
eroded, who
comments.
knows?
Yeah, let us know in the comments how exactly that ruling works, whether you can resolve it with less than 1 engrave. But if you did, you'd still have to ditch 3, so important to remember. Moving on to our level 3s, we got the King Crimson. We talked about this before. Really trolly, pay 4, ditch 3 characters, delete the attack, delete the trigger step, delete everything. You standby it out, so you have standby in your deck, so you have more stock to play with, so maybe you can resolve 1 or 2 of this in your game. And then it's also a healer. Healers are just good. And then we're also running the Risotto, which we talked about before. It's hexproof. On play, search your deck for golden win, add to hand, and then also you can pay 1, ditch 2, look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, choose up to 3 of them, delete them, and then shuffle your opponent's deck. So it's like kind of like Mocha, kind of not. It's like a decompression tool. Depending on your opponent's deck state, this will be really good or really bad. So it's more in there for the hexproof and the cantrip.
I like the inclusion of the erased world in here too.
Yeah.
Usually, I feel like the effect's probably too expensive to pull off, but if you can stand by the jester guy, the alpaca,
Yeah, you'll have
1,
more
you
stock.
get a lot of stock to help build up for this.
That's the big thing I was thinking of this, and I think this is a mistake here. This should be 3 copies of the King Crimson, which you can see in our deck list at the end that we link in the description and show on screen. Moving into the level 3 combo, this is the same prosciutto that we have when you play it. All of your opponent's characters, front row and back row, get minus X power, and X is equal to those characters' levels minus 1,000, or times 1,000, so you can neg up to 3k if it's a level 3, or if they're being buffed levels even higher. And then on attack, it's similar to Last Shot Xenon. It's pay 2, ditch 2, you deal 4, and then choose one of your opponent's characters. It gets minus 3k. So it removes characters on your opponent's field and deals burn damage. And it's off the same climax. So we have to run it so that we plus, and then it's also a finisher combo. So just a real big payoff for being in villains. As we talked about before, Ollie and I were discussing, when you're playing villains in JoJo, it is a whole package. You have to dedicate a lot of cards to it. That's why these lists look very similar. There's a lot of things that sort of make this villains package tick, and you have to throw all those cards in your deck at high counts for them to work very consistently. So they're going to have a few similarities. But, yep, here's the whole deck list. As I said, King Crimson at 3 down there, not 2. But, yeah, as I said just a second ago, pretty similar to the Bargate build, but running some standby targets, running that alpaca, generate some free stock. Very similar deck list. Basic strategy, we talked about it as we went, but level 0, you're going to play your coin flips, try to plus on board, try to hit those. You're running more level 1s and level 2s and level 3s normal because you're playing a standby deck. So hopefully you can hit those. Should be about a 50% chance. And then you're also going to slam down your Peshies. You're going to mill, so you make sure you have a grave. Make sure that your level 1 Peshies will hit. And also send your prosciuttos to memory. And then we're also probably going to want to set our back rows as quickly as possible with our Brainstormer and our Pericolo. Just to have that stuff down. The Pericolo, obviously, we can sack to get into other stuff. Level 1, we're going to make sure we have our prosciuttos in memory for our combo. We're going to play that out. We're going to protect our Pesci combos with our 2k backup. Moving into level 2, probably standby out the 2-2. Filter our hand with a standby. Tap down our alpaca every single turn. I have it here in the level 2 slot, but ideally we want to try to standby that out at level 1 if we can. If you get an extra turn at level 1, every turn that card is on the field, it generates additional value, so you want to get that out as quickly as possible. And then also we're going to threaten with our anti-change backup since it's so aggressively costed. And then finishing, we're going to probably have a standby King Crimson out. We're probably going to resolve that. And since we stock charged a lot during the game with our level 1 combo and our alpaca, we can still do our finisher with our Prosciutto burn or our risotto if our opponent's very compressed. Any final thoughts on the deck, Andy?
Not really. I do really like the erase world at the top end though, kind of building up to having both an aggressive finisher and a more defensive option that you can use your stock on. And I don't think the erase world's off a climax combo, so you can if you stand by him out at level 2, you can do it at level 2.
Yeah, you can turn that on very early because ideally with the alpaca you'll have a lot of stock. So.
And even if you don't have, he has to discard specifically 3 characters. But even if you don't have the characters, you can use the level 2 combo to get 3 characters into your hand.
Yeah. Bring 3 characters in and ditch some other cards out if you're flooded with climaxes.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't come up too much, but it's a nice little synergy to keep in mind.
Yeah, for sure. But yep, that's our last JoJo's deck. We're finally through all the ones we wanted to go over. In terms of other content, we have our Rush Rundowns Mondays and Wednesdays every week. We're moving through those chronologically. I believe Sal just went up, and then we'll have Fate going up later this by the time this video goes up. So that'll be this week. Then we're going to keep plugging forward, keep doing those 2 a week. And then, of course, our deck techs just like this one every Friday. So we got 3 days of guaranteed content. Our Memory Snow set review is live, so make sure you check that out. And then we also have Slime on the way. We are working through recording that. And that'll be up as soon as we can get it. We have a special guest for that. We have the Ryan Wibberley from Canada, noted slime expert on that video, so make sure you look out for that. And yeah, I think that's it. Pittsburgh White Schwartz signing off. We'll see you guys in the next video.